You're listening to the new WCEG Network. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life in the community. Log on at WCEGTalkRadio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, on Roku cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now on Fanbase and Blue Sky. Search for WCEG and subscribe to all the social media platforms. I'm Celeste Giordano, your show host of Global Legacy and Wealth Building for the next hour. Download our free WCEG mobile apps. Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. And last but not least, our disclaimer, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. And good afternoon to our audience, to WCEG Network. We are in our 6th season this year since 2020. And we are glad to have two amazing ladies here today. We have Deborah Fawaz and we have Cindy Berre. And Cindy's coming from Cincinnati, Ohio, and Deborah is from Atlanta. And Penny, we just want to say thank you for the opportunity for WCEG Network, your platform, the amazing things that you, your board, and your team are doing in our community to bring life in the community and to educate and inform them about different things in our community. How are we doing today, ladies? How is your summer? Deborah?
It was great. It's still very warm here in Atlanta. The children should not be in school till the end of September.
Well, you're looking fabulous as always. And I know you've been doing a lot of traveling this year. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But we're glad to have you on our show with us today. And also, we have a new person with us, Cindy Berre, who is a travel agent. And we're excited to partner both of you on this show here today, titled Travel Changes Lives: How to Plan and Prep for That Transformation. Cindy, welcome to WCEG Talk Network. How are you doing?
Thank you, Celeste, for having me on the show today. I'm doing great, and my summer was wonderful, and it was too fast. It's like we blinked and 3 months went by, but glad it's fall. It is cooling off in Cincinnati a little bit, although not to get into the weather report, I guess we're getting some of your weather, Deborah, tomorrow. So it's going to get a little warm again. But yeah, looking forward to what's coming up in the fall with planning trips and hearing about others.
Absolutely. And I've watched you on social media this year, and you have traveled all over to Europe, to Mexico, and I'll let you tell the story later on as well. But I'm very excited to hear what you have to share today with our audience and listeners. And also, I'd like to say, you know, Penny, that we are very appreciative of you. I know I've already said that once, but, you know, you have done some amazing things with WCEG. And over the 6 years that we've had the Global Legacy and Wealth Building, I just want you to know that we are very honored to be a part of this and the amazing people that we have brought to the platform here, and only because you provide that platform. So thank you to you and your board. We really appreciate that. Ladies, are you ready to dive in and get excited about how we can talk about travel and changing lives?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So what I want to do is I'm going to read Cindy Berre's bio first. And Cindy Berre creates personalized, memorable vacations beyond Europe, including top destinations worldwide. She combines expert knowledge with warm service to craft luxury trips that feature unique experiences, including private transfers, scenic rail travel, and culinary adventures. Guided by the motto, "Vacation, it awaits you," Cindy makes every journey seamless and unforgettable. And Cindy, we are excited to have you on the show here today. And what inspired you to start Cindy Berre Travel, and what makes your agency different from other listeners might find online?
Well, Celeste, that's a difficult question because I'm not sure what inspired me, except I always had a thirst for travel. And growing up, we did not travel. We would get in the car, maybe, we got in the car a few times when I was growing up, and it would be for my dad's business, and we would stay at a motel where the swimming pool was in the parking lot. And that's great, but we thought we had died and gone to heaven as kids. So I thought, I really like travel. Well, my agency actually started by accident, and I'll start from the beginning as I would sit around doing armchair travel, like when the kids were, small and growing up, and they put them to bed, and you're exhausted from the day, and might have TV on, but I'd always have a travel magazine, and I'd be looking through the travel magazine, thinking, boy, that'd be lovely to go to someday. And one time I was looking at the Sunday paper. I always love looking at the Sunday paper, particularly the lifestyle section, where they have the fun stuff, not the news. And there was always an advertisement to go to Tri-State Travel School. Well, the short story is I looked at that for a couple years and finally decided I'm going to make an appointment and see what that's all about. So I found myself down in Norwood, Ohio, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. And all of a sudden I was signed up for travel school. And it was 6 months long. It was every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 1. And I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had not done anything, on a schedule like 9 to 1. I had to be there. We had homework. It was either geography or the computer. And so this was about 31 years ago. And a friend of mine owned an agency. She said, "Oh, come and work for me." So I did that. And the rest is history. I've always just had my own business, and I have a lot of fun telling people where to go. I love telling people where to go.
So you've had your travel agency for 38 years, or been in the business?
About 31. I've been in the
31?
business. Yes.
31 years.
Yes.
So you have traveled some amazing places in 31 years.
I have had the privilege of doing so. Yes.
Absolutely. And I loved in your bio where you talked about experiences, because you know what? It is an experience. And, we need to take advantage of those opportunities, because it really doesn't cost you to travel. When you think about the experiences, you can't put a price tag on that. It's price.
That's right. And there's a trip for every budget. Well, the bio said I do luxury travel. Of course, I do luxury travel, but I can work with most budgets, within reason. And what I like to do is, listen to the client, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but listen to the client and tailor that experience and itinerary for you. I say there's two kinds of travel. There's a trip and a vacation. And a vacation is suntan lotion in one hand, pina colada in the other. And a trip is tripping around, culture, museums, cathedrals, experiencing, all the hustle and bustle of the destination. So we can tailor that too. Most budgets.
Absolutely. So Cindy, what are the top 3 destinations you're booking right now, and why are they popular this season?
So from Cincinnati, and I think a lot of places probably, in the United States, Mexico and the Caribbean, and particularly in the, we used to always say like the cold weather months for we people up north, but actually it's a year-round destination. And Cancun is one of the #1 spots. Wish I would have the figure of how many millions of people they greet every year as coming into their area for travel. So Mexico, Caribbean, of course, Europe, France, and Italy. Italy has probably been the #1 for many years, but a real fun side note to that's catching up, well, not really catching up, but giving it a little go for Italy, a little go for the money, is Croatia. And Croatia used to be part of that Venetian peninsula. If you look at the history and all that, and it's quite a gorgeous destination with so many unique things to experience and do. And another destination is Portugal. So now I'm going into the 4th destination, but Croatia and Italy coming together. Portugal. And that is really an up and coming, people are discovering Portugal again. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, out of those top 3 destinations, where all have you traveled this year so far, Cindy?
Well, I always go to Mexico at least twice a year because I love Mexico and it's easy to get to from Cincinnati. And that would be my vacation trip. The pina colada in one hand, the suntan lotion in the other. And just got off of a trip to Europe about 3 weeks ago. We spent about 5 days in Switzerland, and then we hopped on a beautiful river cruise from Basel to Amsterdam. And I've done that, had the privilege of doing that itinerary a couple different times, but it's been many years, and it's such a lovely, river cruising is a wonderful way to make your way through Europe, if those other destinations you want to see. But so that was a real lovely experience with culture and history, culinary, wine. It kind of hits the bullet points on, the check marks on so much. So that was really fun experience.
Well, I think didn't you take your grandchildren with you on
We
that?
did. That was so fun because, you think, because a lot of people think of a river cruise for just older people or people that are retired, and they might be a little slow and boring, but it is, you make it what you want. So we took our one son and daughter-in-law and 11 and 12-year-old granddaughters. And my husband's grandfather was from Switzerland. We actually did this trip with my boys when they were about middle school, and we took them back to see where their great grandfather was born, the little towns that he lived in, and the church he was christened in. So my son wanted to recreate that with his daughters, that they could do that with their grandparents too, because we actually did that with my husband's parents. So it was multi-gen. So there's a lot of destinations and kinds of travel you can do for multi-generational travel. Doesn't have to be always just, renting a condo together or a house together and everybody together, all 3 generations. It can be something as busy as a trip to Europe, but with some definite organization to it and plan. You want to plan it.
Well, and I don't want to expand on that just for a minute, Cindy, because I think that was such a profound opportunity here, because our age group, when I say you and Deborah and myself, we have less years ahead of us than we had behind us. And being able to take your children or your grandchildren on trips, and I say this for for your elderly parents or grandparents, to be able to take them and have an experience and travel with them now, because as they get older, that opportunity may never present itself.
And you never know when that year's or that week or month is going to happen. So you're exactly right.
So, I just love the fact that you took your family there and you did that. And I knew the story behind it. That's why I wanted to let you tell that story. And those are important things. And those are the experiences, and those are the lifetime cherished memories that you create that will stay with that generation for a very, very long time. And hopefully they'll pass that down to their next generation and the generation after that.
And they do, because my son remembered that, right? And he doesn't remember the toys that were under the Christmas tree when he was 10 years old, but he does remember that trip. So
Right.
whether you have the ability and the good fortune to be able to go on a trip to Europe, or if you don't have the time or means or whatever to do that kind of trip, there's other trips you can do. My goodness, our country's beautiful, and lots of opportunity to create some loving memories that way.
Absolutely. That was one thing that my husband always said with me. He spent, almost 18 years in the Air Force, and he traveled all over the world, but he really never traveled anywhere in the United States. And there are so many beautiful things and vacations and things that you can do right here in our beautiful country.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
So many listeners are worried. Many listeners worry about planning. What's your best tip for someone who wants to book a stress-free vacation on a budget or a timeline?
Well, number one is to plan as early as possible. Don't put it off thinking prices are going to go down. because prices aren't necessarily, they won't go down, and your availability, you're not going to get maybe what you want. You're not going to get that hotel or that cruise cabin you wanted. Or if you're going with your kids and you want connecting cabins on a cruise, they're limited. So you need to plan ahead for those kinds. So planning ahead also gives you time to budget it, right? It gives you the time to do that. And what was the other part of that question? I'm sorry, I lost it.
That's all right. Who wants to book a stress-free vacation
Oh.
with a budget or a timeline?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And so, like, stress-free, call your travel professional, call your travel agent, somebody that you trust or, that has the experience. Of course, I would love to be that person. I'm always happy to answer questions and get you off to the right start. But you'd be surprised that a travel agent or travel advisor, whatever they're going by, doesn't cost you more money. They're going to actually make that experience and that trip. Maybe not, they can save you money, but maybe not save you money, but you're not going to be wasting your money. Because I've heard so many times, oh, I got the best deal. We're going to Cancun for $6.99 a person, and because it's out there, and it includes flights and all-inclusive resort. And they get down there, and guess what? It was not the experience they wanted because it's a crummy hotel, it's a crummy resort. The food is terrible, it's dirty, so you spent that money, so it wasn't a good deal, right? You wasted it because you didn't get the trip you thought.
Absolutely. And then whether you're traveling Europe or Cancun or, within the United States or even outside, to me, it makes sense to use a travel agent that knows the ins and outs, knows the quality of these hotels, because you can go online and you can look at an Airbnb or you can look at a hotel or this or that, and you can't necessarily tell, is it a good area that you're in? It's got a pretty picture, but then they're not showing you the picture once you step outside the front door, where you're at. And you're laughing. I remember you booking an Airbnb a year ago or sometime like that, and it wasn't exactly what you thought it was when you booked that. You remember that story? We'll talk about that one later.
Who's that?
Deborah.
Oh.
So you just pictures are deceiving.
They are.
And I didn't realize, because I thought Cancun had a reputation in the last year or so that it wasn't a safe place to go.
Well, my son lives in Chicago and I visit him. So there. Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, it is safe. It's as safe as Cincinnati. There's just neighborhoods I wouldn't go into, or I wouldn't find myself in a local bar in Cancun, right?
Right.
I send, so it's not just Cancun, Mexico. Mexico's an amazing country. We've been to San Miguel de Allende, we've been to Iztapa, Zihuatanejo, Puerto Vallarta. It is a beautiful country, and the people are they get hospitality. They're very warm and kind and fun, loving people. So yeah, there's that perception, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Absolutely. But there again, using a travel agent, they know that this XYZ hotel over here is a good hotel. It's a safe hotel, and things of this nature, where you're on there and you pick a hotel, just point your finger, and you don't know where it's at along the area or anything about it. You're really taking a gamble, and I really wouldn't want to do that.
You are, and just a real side note, because I know you probably want to get on to the next topic, but when you book online, you are booking with a travel agency. You're booking with an online travel agency. You are not booking with a travel agency where you have a personal connection and you know that person and you see that person. So take that, and then, I like to say I go so I know, but I can't have been every place recently or every place ever. But I have a network of thousands with technology and Facebook. We have Facebook groups for every topic you can imagine. We have, travel agents that sell Hawaii, travel agents that sell whatever. So if I don't know the answer, somebody does. If I
Somebody.
haven't been there, somebody's been there or they're there now.
That's,
So that's really something to keep in mind.
well, absolutely. And you think about it as traveling, you're investing several thousands of dollars on a vacation or a once in a lifetime trip. Why not take that added insurance that you have a travel agent that that your money is safe with that person and they're going to give you the best bang for your buck, I should say, and and you can count on it,
We're
right?
going to be your advocate. That's right.
Absolutely. So can you walk us through a recent memorable client trip without naming names and what made it stand out, the highlights, surprises, and the lessons?
Oh, there's so many, but I just had a young family. I think the children are like 10 and 12, that went to Japan this summer. And getting back to that up and coming destinations, Japan, it's unbelievable. But so they did go to Japan, and they had we just put together something for the parents and something for the kids, and it was so much fun. They did like a ramen cooking school, and they actually did Disney in Japan. I don't know that I'd go all the way to Japan and go to Disney, but that's what they wanted to do, and they had, so much fun. But they got to see and experience so many things, and we added little touches along the way. And then well, I don't know, it's off the top of my head. That was one that's coming to me.
Okay, very good. How do you tailor trips for women travelers or groups of friends? What special touches do you include that our listeners might not expect?
Well, that's a good question. Depending on the group, what their interests are and the purpose of their trip. So that's what I do with every client is like listen to them. I want to know, what do you want to get out of that trip? So, with anybody, but let's just talk about women. We want to be safe and comfortable, right?
Right.
We don't want to feel uncomfortable in a sketchy area. So we're going to choose the right, locations. We're going to have we're going to have private transportations. It doesn't cost that much more. Let's just make sure we have a driver to take us to wherever we're going and doing. We might want to include, well, a lot of people we really like food and wine or, tastings of some sort. So we'll put that in. It might be like a special dinner or cooking class, cooking, that's always fun. Um, Wellness is really big. So perhaps they want some spa, excursions or experiences. So we'll take a look at the wellness and, whatever they want to do. So we make it a beautiful event.
Well, I think one of the key things that you said there is you're going to have your own driver. You're not going to have to be waving down an Uber or on your phone getting an Uber that you don't know this or that you have a personal driver that's going to take you from point A to point B. Because let's face it, you are out of the country, and if you're a woman and traveling alone, or you're a woman traveling in group, you're pretty much going to stand out, right?
That's right. And if you're alone or just two of you, yes, you definitely still want you want that same like convenience of a driver. And if you're like a group of 10, everybody wants to be together. Well, you're not all going to fit in an Uber, right?
That's right.
Maybe 5 of you will, but so yeah, we try to make it convenient and just fun.
Good. So let's talk about travel safety and insurance. They're hot topics. What should listeners know about protecting their investment and staying safe abroad?
Yeah, that's a really important question.
Yes.
And most of my clients will take trip insurance. If they don't, I make them sign a waiver because I've had to actually use trip insurance myself twice. Once I broke my hip 2 weeks before we were going to Mexico with the same kids and the other kids that went, on the trip. And a little girl ran into me at the mall and she won. I fell, broke my hip, and I couldn't go. And then another time I had a really bad sinus infection. And we were going on a Rhine River cruise. This was a few years ago. And just now got to do that again. But insurance paid for it. I claimed in it, but it was all documented by doctors and whatever. So trip insurance is really important, not only for cancellation, but if you're in country and something happens to you, then medically your insurance from home is not going to cover you. And many times, depending on the country, but many times if you have to be admitted to the hospital or doctor to be seen, they want the money up front. And to go to a hospital and have to be admitted, they want thousands of dollars. So you're either putting it on a lot of credit cards or whatever, but the insurance company will guarantee that. So the insurance that I recommend is a primary insurance, not a secondary, meaning they pay up front. You don't pay and they make the claim and pay. There's various reasons to have trip insurance, but if you've got a travel investment, it's reassurance that, and at the very least, if you don't care about losing your money because you get sick and you can't go, get medical insurance. And that is so
Medical
cheap.
insurance is so important, and people
And it's so
sometimes
cheap.
about that.
Yeah, it's so cheap and it's just silly not to have it. So
I was over in Italy in 2018, and we had somebody that had to go to the hospital, and I was with a group of people, and you were right. They had to pay thousands and thousands of dollars out of their pocket because they didn't take that trip
Didn't have the
insurance,
insurance.
and our insurance is no good over there.
No. And people will say like, oh, I don't need insurance, especially like younger people. I don't need insurance. I'm going regardless. Well, you're not going regardless. There's things that happen that are you're not going. Sorry.
Well, let me ask you something. Sustainability is on everyone's mind. How does Cindy Berre Travel help clients travel more responsibly?
Well, there are programs that we can key into and hotels, and so there are ways to do that. That's a kind of a tough one, but I mean there are cruise lines. They all have their little green ways of making the travel more sustainable. So yeah, if that's really important to a client, I definitely will work with that client and make that happen. Yeah.
Absolutely. For our listeners that are ready to take the plunge, what are the 3 first steps to book a trip with you today?
Well, plan ahead, call me, my contact's in the chat, and we can set up a time to chat and discover what you might want to do.
Well, for our listeners, why don't you tell them the name of your company and how they can get a hold of you?
So I'm Cindy Berre Travel. I needed to come up with a name real quick, and that worked. So Cindy Berre Travel. By the way, I am affiliated with a large host agency that has about 5,000 agents. So we have a lot of clout and insurance to give peace of mind to our clients. It's not just me and LLC. So I'm Cindy Berre Travel, and I can be reached at 513-645-1754. Also on the internet, cindyberretravel.com.
Absolutely. And for our audience and listeners, anybody can call you and have a conversation about
Oh
travel,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely on that. And do you have any special trips planned right now for our audience or listeners?
I do. I have one, but before I say that, I just want to say one more thing that I meant to zip in there at some point. There's also Give Back Travel, and I won't go into any details because I know we have time constraints, but Give Back Travel is like we can help you with that. I partner with different programs throughout the world and helping a charity organization. So there's like an orphanage in the Cancun area that we do. So I won't go into any about that, but if you have interest in learning more about that, please ask me. And I have right now with Amy Tobin, who is a Cincinnati, well-known Cincinnati author, chef, cook, former radio host, event planner at New Riff Distillery, at the Party Source. She's well known. She's got a group that we put together September 21 to the 28th next year, 2026, on the Rhine River from Amsterdam to Basel. And we're going to do some fun culinary features there. But it is not a culinary and wine theme trip on the cruise line, but we're going to intersperse some of that, starting in Amsterdam with a special dinner. So if you're interested, it's couples and women. We've got about half of them right now are friends, women friends traveling together, and we've got right now 3 couples traveling. So there's room for you, and I hope that if you're interested in traveling with this unique fun group, give me a call.
Absolutely. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for sharing everything about Cindy Berre travel. And it was very educational and informative. And again, for our audience and listeners, please look in the chat. You can get her information, have a conversation with her, and get scheduled, get your next trip, your next experience booked. And take your parent, take your grandparent, take somebody with you on that trip and have fun.
Thank you.
So what I also love about this partnership, Cindy Berre and our next guest with Deborah Fawaz, is it really goes hand in hand. And Deborah, before I introduce you, anything that you want to say about the travel, what Cindy had to share? You've done a lot of traveling this year.
This year was the first year I did the full trains, planes, and automobiles trip in Europe and with just some women. And so even though I teach people how to pack, I learned from getting up on and off a train that you might want to pack differently if you've got a 50-pound suitcase and just yourself and 90 seconds to board and disembark. So just make sure you know what your transportation is so that you and I can have a conversation about how you're going to pack, because that can be stressful.
Absolutely. Very good. So Deborah Fawaz is the founder of DD Faces, a concierge level image consulting firm that offers customized services to elevate your physical presence while reflecting your personality, lifestyle, and your brand. She expertly offers services in image consulting, professional makeup, artistry, expert color analysis. She speaks professionally about making a lasting impression, personal styling, the impact of color, and branding your personal image. And please welcome Deborah Fawaz.
Thank you, Celeste.
Yes. And on that trip that you did, you did take that train all the way into Milan and did a beautiful shopping experience right there. And I have not seen all the massive things that you brought back. So we need to plan that this week.
I'll tell you what, my family is going to have the best Christmas they've ever had.
I bet they will.
Shopping in Italy. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you back on the show here, and especially with Cindy Berre with traveling, because as you said, we're going to talk some about some packing questions. But how did you get started in this field of image consulting?
Well, the short version is I'm the only girl and the oldest in the family. My dad was a minister, and my mom felt that she had to be the perfect reflection of him. And then that traveled down to me, had to be the perfect reflection of her. So there was a lot of emphasis on look right, stand in the corner, be quiet, all that. It was a different time in the Middle Ages when I was little. So I was always interested in hair and clothing. I'm very tall, and I was this tall when I was 12 years old. So honestly, the clothes didn't fit me in the stores, and we kind of couldn't afford it. So my mom sewed all my clothes. She was great at it. I'm not complaining. I never walked into the prom worried about seeing my dress on someone else, right? It was always unique. But it was my heartfelt desire to have the money and walk in a store and buy clothes off the rack that fit me. So I was always interested in fashion. And then for my 16th birthday, Mom took me to Merle Norman. Anybody know that store? There still are some freestanding cosmetic and makeup stores. And so I got a makeup lesson. And so I started playing and doing that for free in college, and neighbors, and then neighbors' children's weddings. And it just grew, and I turned it into a business after taking quite a few courses and getting certifications in color and makeup artistry and body type and all those things that have to do with your exterior package.
One thing that you said that was very important in there is I love that your mom took you when you were 16 to Merle Norman. We need more parents and grandparents to step up to the plate to take their children and their grandchildren when they start to wear makeup to be taught professionally how to wear makeup and use makeup, because some of them don't have somebody that's going to show them. And
well, where do the girls learn all that now? YouTube.
YouTube.
And hours on YouTube, which, you can learn how to build your own car practically on YouTube, right? It's pretty amazing. And I use it for things like that all the time, but it's not an individualized experience either. And there's nobody giving you feedback saying, maybe hold the brush this way, or that color might not be as flattering on you as this color. Let's try this. So you're just missing out on that personal one-on-one interaction, and the learning and the validation that comes along with that.
Absolutely. And for our audience and listeners out there, you talk about a great gift that your grandchild or your daughter would cherish a lifetime would be to somebody to show them how to professionally apply makeup or a VIP experience or something, and to be able to give that to them at a young age where now you've set the standard and the level moving forward. And so anyways, I love that. What I'd like to do before I go any further, Deborah, is I'd love to get your quick couple of questions on packing to relate to Cindy. So I don't want to get too far into the show away from the travel.
Sure.
So
Right.
What are your top 3 packing tips when you travel?
The first is make sure you know where you're going and what you're doing. And that seems like uber simplistic, but a lot of times people might go to visit a friend or a family, and so they don't really ask, what are we going to do? But usually the host has something in mind. So like we have a big granite mountain in Atlanta, and if somebody didn't tell you that they're going to take you to climb Stone Mountain, you probably don't have the right shoes, or you wished you would have brought your sturdy backpack, or whatever. So if you don't have an itinerary like a cruise or an overseas trip, I would definitely find out what that is. People that do destination weddings are really good about typically giving the guests the whole schedule of what you're going to do. And so it's very helpful when you're getting ready to attend that wedding. But a lot of times we don't think about asking those questions if we are just traveling in the car or going to visit friends or family. So make your itinerary and use it to pack. Number 2, I tell people to roll up their clothes. Your clothes get much less wrinkled and it takes a lot less space. And I actually use these huge, I think they're 3-liter bags. You can buy packing cubes, and that's cool. That's very trendy right now. They're like collapsible. But if you just want to spend $5 at the grocery store and buy a big bag, those huge Ziploc baggies, I roll my outfits and put them in there. And it also helps for the planning. So I lay out the outfit, what jewelry am I going to wear with it, what shoes, and it's all laid out on my bed so I can see, oh, I don't need jewelry for this. I've got that over there. Multi-use, I don't need that many shoes, all of that. And then the third one is really avoid the last minute panic. This is what I still have to refrain from doing. pack a couple days ahead of time. And then the night before, or even that morning, I'm like, did I did I bring jewelry? Or, you almost forget what you put in your suitcase. And that's when I overpack. I add a jacket, I add another pair of comfort shoes. Don't do it. If you plan ahead of time and you write it down and you triple check your list, which is me, you don't have to have the last minute panic, and you'll avoid poundage and just aggravation of having too much stuff.
Well, I'm not one that cannot be organized. I'm the one that even I can try to plan that stuff, but it doesn't work out and I overpack. And I mean, I just start throwing stuff in there. And then it's like, why did I bring 5 pairs of this and 6 pairs of that? And
Right.
and when I went to Europe, that was one thing I didn't realize too, is it where certain airlines, I don't care if you're Gold or Platinum American Express, you're paying for this bag right here.
Right.
And it was like $100 for a bag. And it's like, really? Just going 30 minutes in the air and it was $100. So, you really need to think about that.
Right. And you haven't even bought anything yet. Some people are huge on souvenirs, other people are not. But, like this trip to Italy that I just did, I knew I was going to go shopping in Milan. And so I took a nylon empty bag, cheap off Amazon, and put it in the bottom of my suitcase. And then on the way home, all my soft, dirty clothes went in there because I just shoved them in, and didn't really care about that. And then the things and the souvenirs that I bought went in my hard-sided suitcase.
Very good. So what does fingertip ready mean?
So, they tell you what you can take on the plane, and I swear some people are moving. When you see their stuff come down the aisle, it looks like they're moving into a new residence. They have so much carry-on stuff. Make sure that you have the things that you will need on the plane and or the very first night with you. Because for example, my backpack is too thick to fit under the seat. So I know on an airplane that's going to go overhead, but in one section of that backpack, so I can sit down, quickly take out whatever it is, my Kleenex, my earbuds, my phone charger, whatever it is I'm going to be doing on that plane. If you're traveling overseas, I keep my toothbrush, a toothpaste, a clean pair of underwear, a pair of socks for on the plane so I don't have to wear my shoes for 10 hours. But know where that stuff is. You don't want to be doing this on your backpack or your carry-on bag when it's time to fasten your seatbelt. So have it all in one baggie or just one section of your luggage so it's immediately pulled out.
And you should always have your medication with you too. Don't put that in.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And you can almost guarantee that something's going to get lost or delayed or something. What do you call a concierge level image consulting firm?
Well,
why do you call yourself? Excuse me.
Yeah, no, I have that word in there because in my company, I do so many different things. It's not just about your image, it's about how you show up. And so when I work with my clients one-on-one, we talk about like, what are your intentions? Where do you go? How much time do you spend there? Whether it's networking, are you speaking? Are you doing online activities like this with a camera? So all the recommendations are really tailored to you, and it's not just about what shape of clothing fits your body type, but I do a full color analysis about what looks best on you up here by your face, makeup, hair color, glass color, all of that. Sorry, I took a left turn in my head there. So there's just so many different things that I do and different levels and layers of assistance to give a person, because let's face it, like, unless I'm your mama, nobody usually teaches us this stuff. And like we talked about YouTube, people are just reliant on the internet to get their information. But wouldn't it be nice to work one-on-one with somebody that asks you questions, listens to your answers? Because no matter what I design for Cindy, if it doesn't fit her personality, her financial constraints, and her lifestyle, she's got 3 dogs and 2 kids running through her bathroom in 7 minutes to get ready. We have to come up with something that fits that, or she's not going to use it.
Well, and the other thing is for our audience and listeners here, and you've heard me say this before, I've had you on the show before, Deborah, you know, having your colors done, having a VIP day with an image consultant like Deborah Fawaz or somebody is life changing. You know, what my first experience was in 2013 when I had that opportunity and did a photo shoot, and had an image consultant there. And I remember before that I flew up to Toronto and had X amount of dollars. I'm not going to say it out loud in case my husband listens to this. That you know, that we went shopping, you know, several thousands of dollars that I took, and we went shopping, and then, you know, and then I had a photo shoot. But, you know, having that personal experience of an image consultant doing your colors, doing your makeup and your hair, and what type of clothing is right for you is absolutely priceless. You talk about a 180-degree turn of how you look and feel and act, and the power that comes with it, because it will change your life once you have it done. And I've had you do a VIP day for me, Deborah, and it's the same way. And it's just like, you just can't get enough VIP days. You want to talk about building your confidence, go get a VIP day. Go get a VIP day.
Well, honestly, most of those days we celebrate you with some bubbles and maybe a meal, whatever works out in your life. But they end in tears, happy tears, because
Absolutely.
people just feel that they've been listened to and seen and heard. And there's just the simplest little thing. It's like, well, nobody ever told me that, or nobody ever showed me that. So I feel like I've been successful if, you know, there's a few tears when they're going out of the studio.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, and having a personal shopper, you know, that's one thing that you also do. You went shopping with me, personal shopping for a dress to wear to a very important wedding to our goddaughter. It was a special occasion. And, you know, there's nothing like being in the dressing room and here comes Deborah, here, and you're trying on. And
don't help you out.
And that one outfit that you brought, we just both said, this is it. And you just knew it. And I mean, that experience in that moment is just priceless. I think I just said that, but how does a person show up differently after you work with them?
Well, I think you did just say that. Yeah, you just feel differently about yourself. You usually have a different relationship with your closet. If we do a VIP day and I do a closet audit with you, I'm not the person that stands in there and says, when's the last time you wore that? Boom, boom. I don't make you throw your stuff away. I don't guilt you into anything, but I will help you be efficient. And so if you're holding on to a bunch of clothes for an emotional reason, that's okay. But let's move them out of your visual line of sight, right? In 20 pounds, I'll get back in that. Or that was my first date with my husband, or I wore that to my daughter's wedding. I can't get rid of it. Okay, well, if you have room to keep it, don't get rid of it. But let's not have that right here where you're trying to be out the door in 20 minutes and you have things hanging in your sight that aren't serving you in that moment, you know? So we just put them in a different part of the closet or the house.
So what's one service do you recommend to a client?
Well, I typically recommend, like a lot of my VIP day that Celeste keeps talking about is basically all the different components of the services that DD Faces offers. And if you really want to have the full service experience, we do that VIP day, which may take more than one day, and that's fine. But a lot of times people say, I don't have the resources, I don't have the time right now, or what should I do first? And I always recommend the color analysis. It drives everything else. It drives what you wear, your hair color, your makeup, what you wear on a Zoom, all of it. So and it doesn't really change. The only thing that changes is we experienced this in COVID where a lot of people embrace their beautiful platinum hair. And so there sometimes when you choose to go natural, um, we take a couple things out of your wardrobe color wise, but it doesn't change the whole deal. So it's an investment that you would use the rest of your life.
Well, and one thing that I noticed, and I noticed this with myself, but also with other people, especially clients, because I've referred a lot of clients to you as well, is a lot of times we think certain colors are our colors, and they're really not. And I remember when Dominique said, "This is not your color." It's like, what do you mean it's not my color? I love this color. This color looks good on me. Nah. And I mean, there was like two colors. She did that to me, and it just really like poke a hole in my balloon, Dominique. Okay. But you
What?
know, there's a lot of things that we think the colors are good on us, and they're not.
And, you know, for a lot of reasons, it might be that we always get compliments when we wear that certain shirt and we think, oh, it's because of the color, but maybe it's the neckline that really does something for us, or maybe there's an emotional attachment, or it's the shape of it, or whatever. So, you know, it just kind of helps to have somebody that's not in your own head to give you a different way of looking at things. And think of it as just opening up a whole new world of possibilities.
Absolutely. You hear like evening wear, black little dress, this or that. Not everybody can wear black. Black
Right.
does not look good on everybody.
But when you walk into like a holiday cocktail party, it's usually a sea of black, right? And
Right.
I like to talk, and I like to wear black, but not all the time. But I talk to people about it's a busy, crowded marketplace, and you want to be able to stand out, even if you're not selling anything. Be memorable. I stand for being memorable in a good way. And so do something different than the holiday cocktail black.
Absolutely. You can have a black dress, but you can put a nice little sweater or something over it, that's black and white or whatever the color is that will accent it, and it will make the whole world of difference. I was a speaker last month, and I put on a little black dress, and they said, "I've never seen you in a dress, Celeste." I said, "Okay, I'm going to put a dress on for this group." So I put the little black dress on, and I put the black and white sweater, and I walked in that room. I owned that room, and everybody said, "Man, you look like you could be president or whatever." But the black. If I went in there with just a black dress, it would have done anything. It was the accent that I wore, the sweater with it, that made it stand out. And that's what you learn when you're with an image consultant. You get your colors done, the shapes and styles. I mean, it makes a world of difference of how you show up by what you're wearing.
I do want to tell you that when I travel, you will see a lot of black in my suitcase because on the bottom, it's really practical to have a black skirt or a little black tank dress that we can add a denim jacket to or add another shirt to. And then my shoes and my purse all look great with what I have, and so I don't have to take so much. So I just want to put that disclaimer in there that even though I encourage people to get out of the black clothing habit because we think we look thinner and we think it's easier to dress ourselves that way, sometimes for travel, that's the way to go because it's just more concise with what you're taking, and then everything goes together.
So
Do you
Deborah,
do
let me
that, Cindy? Do you have a lot of black on the bottom in your when you travel?
Yes, I do. But you won't find me wearing black by my face. I don't
Right.
look good in black. So
Yeah.
my black is navy. I've got navy on right
Right.
now. I should have wore something brighter, but yeah, I will wear black. I black jeans, black leggings, black dress pants. I
Right.
usually take those three.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the season, like when I traveled a few weeks ago, I took a lot of dresses. And like I didn't really have a capsule, but I did the rolling and I used the cubes. I I should have packed carry-on because I took too much. I love to take just in case.
Right. Yeah, I know. But it's usually the just in case that puts us over, and we usually just didn't need it.
So Deborah, let me ask you something. You live in Atlanta, Georgia. What if somebody lives up in Cincinnati or California? Are you able to work with them?
I work with people all over the world. We'll have a conversation about what kind of equipment you have regarding lighting in your camera if you want a color analysis online. But yes, I have people who go into photo shoots that meet with me on a Zoom call like this, take their phone into the closet, and we pick out what they're going to wear for the photo shoot and their accessories and all that. So I'm just jumping in the closet with you no matter where you live.
Well, we're about 4 minutes out here, Deborah. So what is your favorite service to offer?
My favorite? Mm, I really do like to shop for and with people. I like the color analysis because it's always like, ooh, really? Like there's just a lot of fun moments in that. But I like shopping for other people more than I like shopping for myself, which helps me empathize with those of you that hate to shop. But yeah, I just love that. And I just the reaction of the people and I get texts all the time and selfies. Look what I'm wearing today. And people are just excited and proud of themselves and want to share it with me. So all those celebrations are the best part of any of the services that I offer.
Absolutely. And for our audience and our listeners, Deborah, can you tell them the name of your company and how they can get a hold of you? Any specials, anything you have going on right now?
Sure. So I put all of that in the chat. The website is Dee Faces by Deborah, the long way, Deborah. And you can reach my phone number and my email are on there. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can reach me there by Deborah Fawaz or Dee Faces. And I'd love to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely. So also, Deborah said something about photo shoots. We're getting ready to, and next month we'll be going into the fourth quarter and how to finish strong where you own the fourth quarter. From a business perspective, as a business consultant, I highly encourage all my clients to get new headshots, to get a professional image consultant in there, get the clothes right, get the makeup right, get the hair right, choose the right photographer. And so you can get ready to kick off 2026. So if you're thinking about, having new headshots, you're thinking about up leveling your image and your of who you are and how you show up, I highly encourage you to reach out to Deborah Fawaz. The fourth quarter is a great quarter to do that. For those of you that are looking to travel, I highly encourage you to reach out to Cindy Berre at Cindy Berre Travel. There's still a lot of time left. Many of you people many of our audience, listeners, and friends and family are taking fall trips. We've got the fall leaf tour coming up, where people like to go see leaves, or they want to go out west, or they want to go overseas. It's a great time to plan those trips. A lot of people are planning trips for during the week of Thanksgiving and Christmas and between Christmas and New Year's. Have a conversation with Cindy about that because I can tell you, all those presents you're buying at Christmas, they would much rather have that time with you and that experience on a trip somewhere. And it
Cindy,
doesn't have
real quick, how far out are you booking trips international? Like, what do you encourage? A year?
A year's good, yes. And I'm actually looking at 27 right now for some trips. Yes. So it just
Cool.
depends on what you do, where you want to go. Yeah.
well, ladies,
A year's a good rule of thumb.
Okay.
well, it's at the top of the hour, and thank you, ladies, for your time and your education and knowledge today. Thank you, Penny Rogers and WCEG Talk Radio. I'm Celeste Giordano at celestegiordano.com. We look forward to seeing you at the end of this month on the 23rd. I have, if any of you are ever thinking about being an author, this show is for you. We're going to talk about authoring books. So have a wonderful and blessed day. Love you, ladies. Have a great day.
Thank you.